Hi, Bryan Burnett here from Twit and Before You Buy, taking a look at the GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition. So GoPro has three different versions of their Hero 3 Edition camera. Now the Hero 3s are smaller and lighter than the previous generation, and they all have built-in Wi-Fi. There is the white edition at $200, the silver edition at $300, and the black edition, which I have today, for $400. Now the silver edition I did a review on with a side-by-side comparison of the older Hero 2 edition, and if you'd like to check that out, go to this YouTube link. So the black edition of the GoPro comes with a Wi-Fi remote and a few different hardware accessories, and it comes with all the bells and whistles that GoPro has to offer. Now it has a brand new 12 megapixel sensor which allows it to do 4K video, which at 12 frames per second, which isn't great for fast action, but takes some really nice shots for time-lapse or just stills. It'll also do 1080p at 60 frames per second, 720p at 120 frames per second, and WVGA, which is 848 by 480 at 240 frames per second. I tested that video mode out by doing a little burnout, and I think we all know that everything looks cooler in slow-mo. So taking a closer look of the Hero 3 hardware, there is a USB, a micro HDMI, and a micro SD card on the side here that supports up to 64 gigabytes. On the back, you'll find the battery. On either side of the GoPro are little microphones. The audio I found is way better than it used to be on the older versions of GoPro. They say they've altered the algorithm, and it probably helps that they have microphones on both sides of the GoPro now. I've noticed a significant reduction in wind noise when I've been watching some of my videos that I've done on my motorcycle. The GoPros have been some of my favorite cameras to play with because their size and portability. And the Hero 3 excels at both of those. These new Hero 3s are lighter and smaller, and the built-in Wi-Fi allows you to connect to your cell phone, Android or iOS, and use the GoPro, just download the GoPro app and use it as a viewfinder, and you can go into the GoPro settings and change any of them to your specification. Also new with the Hero 3 edition is the case. It'll still work with any of your old GoPro mounting hardware, but the new lens is flat rather than round. You do lose a little bit of field of view with that, but everything around the edges looks a lot sharper, and you can use this case both above and below water, which I demonstrated using at a pool party, and everything underwater looks crisp and clear and sharp, whereas if I were using the older GoPro, the round lens isn't very good for taking video underwater. The Hero 3 Black Edition comes with the Wi-Fi remote, and what that allows you to do is connect to your GoPro and use this to change the modes and start and stop recording. So this is a nice addition. If you were to buy this separately, it's $80 on GoPro's website. It comes in handy when you put your GoPro somewhere out of reach and to start or stop the GoPro. So not only does this GoPro have a larger sensor than the other versions, it also has a very improved low light performance. I tested this out riding my motorcycle at night, and the video came out a lot better than some of the other versions I've used of the GoPro. So time for the pros and the cons. Number one pro for this GoPro Black Edition and any of the other GoPros is durability. They all come with waterproof cases that have been proven to survive falling from skydivers and landing on the ground without a parachute. You can take them underwater. Another pro for the newer Hero 3 editions is the built-in Wi-Fi. Using your GoPro with your phone is a must-have if you want to have a viewfinder. And probably the biggest pro for the Black Edition is the video quality. This is a very small camera that you can use for professional-grade videography. All the different video modes it allows you to do, including 4K, but especially 1080p at 60 frames per second is one of the biggest pros for this camera. Now for the cons. Biggest con for me is battery life. recording time I would get out of the camera was about 50 minutes, and that was without using Wi-Fi. The GoPro Black Edition is a very powerful camera, but also that means that it drains battery very quickly. If I were comparing this to the Silver Edition or even my older Hero 2, I would get about 120 minutes of recording time on a battery on one of those cameras. Another con is freezing. Before I went online and updated the firmware on this camera on GoPro's website, I did have a couple of occurrences where I would start a recording, it would stop, or it would freeze. Now I can see this especially being a problem if you happen to be like our good friend Father Robert Balasar, who pointed out to me when he was on a scuba trip taking his GoPro Hero3 Black Edition. He was 100 feet under the water when it froze, and the only way you can unfreeze it is by taking out the battery, which isn't something you can do when you're underwater. The third con isn't Black Edition specific, it's GoPro's accessories. These cameras are capable of doing a lot, but for some of the more specific things you'd like to do, like having a external mic plugged into the GoPro, you need to get an adapter for that, which also means you need to get a different case so that you can fit the adapter for that. And if you wanted to use any of their mounts and you buy those off of the GoPro website, all those are very expensive, and they range from suction cups, which I feel is a must-have if you're doing any sort of motorsport footage. They also have a chest mount, which I used for this review, and that's $40. They also have a bunch of different little accessories that adds up to a lot. So is the GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition a buy, try, or don't buy? For me, it's a buy, but I would hesitate to say that for anyone who isn't a professional videographer or editor. The Black Edition does have a fantastic video, but I don't know if I could recommend it for everyone. Whereas the Silver, I think, would fill most people's needs. So that's been my review of the GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Before You Buy.